That's not what I want to do. Welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action. From Marvel, DC, from Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to Fast and Furious, these guys are killing me. We will review theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. Tricky fingers. This week we'll review Miss Marvel Episode 3, streaming now on Disney+. I am your host, Ty Rotten. I am the conductor of this train wreck. And joining me tonight is the Slap Man, Chris Slattery. How you doing, sir?
Hello there. Oh, wait. Wrong one. Wrong one.
Now what are you going to do? Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker, Christopher G. Moore.
I just embiggened my arm.
Finally!
That's high-end special effects there.
Yes, it was. Yes. It's
all about camera tricks, maybe?
For perspective. All right, so we are going to review Episode 3 of Miss Marvel streaming on Disney+. We're going to give our first impressions. We'll be spoiler-free. Then we're going to dive into a discussion, maybe a few Easter eggs, and then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score, 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And, of course, we hope you enjoyed not only this review, but many others that we have on the site. And when you check them out, and if you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, share with a friend. And, of course, we want to hear your comments down below. You guys ready to do this? All right, the card. Miss Marvel, Season 1, Episode 3, June 22nd, 2022, Destined. Directed by Mira Menon. Written by Freddie Seymour, A.C. Bradley, Matthew Chauncey, based on characters created by Adrian Alfono. God bless him. Alfono. And G. Willow Wilson. The cast includes Iman Vellante, Matt Lintz, Zenobia Shroff, Mon Kapoor, Sagar Shaikh, and Yasmin Fletcher, among others. The synopsis is Kamala and Bruno explore the source. It's not Brian. Explore the source of her newfound powers just in time for a perilous adventure. That doesn't seem right. It seems like I got the wrong one in there. Let's take a quick look and see.
Ahead of Amir's wedding, Kamala may face grave consequences due to a crucial decision she makes.
Absolutely correct there, Slapman.
You translated
the
what was written in other episode code.
I did exactly what Kamala's dad did and translated what could not be translated.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yes. It was written in Doc Rotten.
The powers of copy and paste, my friends. The powers of copy and paste. All right, let's start off with our first impressions. Slapman, have at it.
So I like this series. I still think it's a very fun series, and the family is still the best damn thing about this series. That being said, I feel like this one's kind of a, one step back from the last two episodes.
Ooh, very interesting.
But mostly because I feel like it lost a little bit of what made the first two episodes unique with its style and its wow factor, especially with the visuals. And it feels a lot more like your typical MCU film or MCU show in this one. It doesn't have a lot of that character. It doesn't have a lot of that pizzazz that the first two episodes have. So it feels like a slight step back, but the characters and the performances still carry it, and it's still very impactful and still very fun. And just, I love these characters. I love their interactions together. I love how much of a loving family these characters feel like on screen. And then the friendship that Kamala and Bruno have, like their chemistry together is so great on screen.
Is it translating it really well from the comics?
I think so.
Right,
it's a little different, but it works. It works really well for what they're doing here. And Yeah, the bad guys feel a little traditional, a little cookie cutter bad guy, but it's fine because Marvel's never had it. They've only had like great bad guys a handful of times. So,
Well,
if,
they
if
still got 3 episodes to
yeah,
bring them to that point. Yep. We just revealed that they were bad guys in this one. Spoilers. All right.
I didn't say who they were. I just said
that's
bad
true,
guys.
That's true. Christopher G. Moore, your first impressions, Marvel Episode 3.
Yeah, I think I'm really loving the series, and I think it all comes down to Iman. I mean, she is just adorably awesome and cute in that role, and she has so many layers to her character. She embodies so many different forms of emotions, from giddiness to being upset, frustrated, mad. I mean, all those elements that come into it. And I think, I don't know. I'm glad that we live in a world now where we can see a show like this that shows this type of family that we don't see, this Pakistani family that we don't ever see in anything, and we get to see it to where it's not some kind of like stereotypical view of any kind of family. Yeah, it involves like religion and that kind of stuff, but they're real people, and they're I mean, to me, this has one of the more fun weddings I've seen in any kind of property. I mean, it's like, I want to go to that wedding. That seems like a fun wedding, and the whole family and just how they get into it's like, I wish somebody do that at my wedding if I ever get married, which probably won't happen. But yeah, overall, I just really loved it. And, I mean, I think and I understand what Slightman is talking about. I mean, it does some of the style stuff is a little bit at bay, but I think a lot of that has to do also with the main character and her dealing with all the issues. She's kind of torn, with, her passion and what she's doing. And she's at this crossroads, or cross railroads, if you get it, in her life, to where she's trying to figure out, like, maybe this isn't the right way for me to go. But yeah, I really, I think more than anything, it's just the whole family thing. It makes this perfection. Yeah. I mean, the villains in this are kind of, I think the way that kind of ends seems kind of like weird. When you have people that are kind of powerful and it just gets snuffed out like that, it seems kind of odd. And their weapons are, are kind of off, and I don't know if that's comic version. But overall, I'm enjoying the humor. I'm enjoying the because I think a lot of times you cast certain people and you create these characters and you hope that it's like the comic books, but more than anything, as someone who hasn't read any comic books, I think the cast they've picked is perfection. All the different friends, all the different family members. I mean, I like all those people. And most of the time you watch some of these films, there's always like an a-hole here or a jerk here, or this person doesn't work, or that person doesn't work. Everybody fits in their specific characters. Even when you have, like, there's even a religious character that you'd like, who's just not just some stereotypical, the guy over the mosque and stuff. So there's just so many great moments that I love. And I really still don't know where it's going. And at the same time, they're also revealing a whole lot more than what I expected at this point too, which creates all kinds of questions. So yeah, I'm loving this series. I mean, I just love the atmosphere of this series, and the characters make it more fun than anything I think Marvel's ever made when it comes to just making something that's just a feel-good show.
Feel good show. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I'm really enjoying this, and I think kind of like what Cameron's mother says. You're right. She is adorable. Embarrassing. But I think all the cast are. I mean, all in their own way, right? It's just, it really is the cast, this ensemble cast, led by Iman Vellani as Kamala. Just yeah, you relate to them, you root for them, you adore them, if we can say that, and we do, they do reel back the like the art, the art's not a part of it this particular episode, and even when they text, it's a little bit more straightforward this episode because things are getting a little serious, right? They're starting to get a little more focused. But at the same time, we get a musical number, and how much fun was that? I had a blast with that. That really made me smile. The series makes me smile. I'm enjoying it. I don't know. I mean, I can see because of that it's a step back, but at the same time, for me, this one had a little more action. It had a little bit more focus to, the story starting to focus in. We're getting to the point of, the confrontation, what's coming. We're introduced to the adversaries, if you will. It takes a village, right? She doesn't get to do it on her own. I mean, she's a big part of it, but she does get help, and I appreciated that. I appreciated that, 2 or 3 of her friends had to step in to help out, right? And so I don't know. This show, it has surprised me in ways I didn't think was going to happen. I'm really
that and a very fun tune to do an action scene to, which ties into.
Oh yeah, well,
now that we're in spoilers, you can just say it.
Okay, yeah. Which I don't know about you guys. I laughed out loud when the band's name was Brown Jovi.
Brown Jovi,
yeah.
I laughed out loud, but I think with the mom and the dad saying that they found love to like Bon Jovi, the Slippery When Wet album, and then when they used that song for that action scene, I was like, when they first mentioned Bon Jovi, like they better use some Bon Jovi somewhere in this series, because I'll be very mad if they did, and we didn't have to wait very long for that. I think that was just perfection in that.
But I really did enjoy the whole wedding scene. Having. The way people knew what to do and the people that didn't know what to do. And
did you see the dance that Kamala did? She did the Batusi.
Oh, did she? I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that. Oh man, you were going to say something, Slightman.
When I said it was a step back, I said it was a slight step back.
Slight step back.
I think my score will reflect slight.
A little step to the left. No. Well, we got to talk about. Okay, so we've been talking about, is it going to be Eternals? Is it going to be Inhumans? We still don't know, but we get Jinns. We get our genies, if you will. That's what our adversaries are. They're trying to get home, and the bracelet is going to help them get there. But they're not good guys, are they?
No.
From a certain perspective.
From a certain point of view, you bastard.
Do you? Hey, let me get into some of the Easter eggs real quick.
Oh, that's right.
That actually may give us a little bit of ideas of where they got some of the ideas for some stuff from. Did you guys notice what was on the floor of the cave where they got the ring, the bangle?
The bangle, what, the arm, the severed arm?
The severed arm with the symbols on the floor. It's a symbol of the 10 rings.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
So that might be the location where Wu found the 10 rings. Because actually, if you go back and listen to, so that again, this is the connection to Shang-Chi, because in Shang-Chi they mentioned that he found the 10 rings either in a crater or was stolen from a tomb, which that place could be either one.
That's good.
So there's that. We get the severed blue arm, which what can that be? This may tie into the whole thing of the Kree. Which, if you remember for the comics or whatever, they created the Terrigen Mist, which is what gave Kamala her power in the comics. So again, this might be their way of telling that, but at the same time, it could be something else if they want to go the Jinn route. When I can't remember her name, the mother of Cameron's mother. She talks about that they've called them many names when she admits that like she's a jinn, whatever. She says some call us Ajnabi, which is Arabic for stranger or alien or foreign. They sometimes call us Majnun, which is Turkish for a crazy person. Also, they mentioned Unseen, which actually in the 1950s comics, there was a group called Unseen that went after capitalist countries. But I don't know if that was meant to be a version of that. But also she says, they call us the clandestines, which is actually a lesser known group from 1990s Marvel Comics that was led by Adam of Ravencroft, which actually the guy that comes in, he's eating the Pop Rocks and and they say that he's more into this world than they are. His name is Adam. And in those comics, he was Adam of Destin from the 12th century England, who during the Crusades fell in love with a jinn, and their descendants became called the Clan Destin. So I guess the Clan of Destin, and they all had different powers. So again, that might be a weird way of talking about a comic that nobody probably knows. That deep cut of something that people didn't really, but also utilizing it for this storyline. If you look at the Miss Marvel, every episode, the Miss Marvel titles, they flash different types of pieces of art. In this one, we get one where she draws like Captain Marvel with a heart on her chest, and then it's got Iron Man with a heart on his chest, and he's got a heart inside of his repulsor. Hulk's got little hearts around his head. There's another one where she is like a pair of scissors, and she cut all these pieces to spell out Miss Marvel, and all the scissors she's wrote KK, which is her initials. And there's also one which is drawing Kamala and Cameron, where she's crushing on Cameron. So again, I love the little artistic things they do with the title sequence. When she goes to Bruno to talk about this, he knows how to do like go into different universes or whatever. He says he read a paper by Dr. Eric Selvig. And if you remember Dr. Eric Selvig, he's the Thor and Jane's astrophysicist friend from the Thor films and Age of Ultron. So, and evidently he pops up in one of the films, one of the MCU films where he's actually written a book or something, or there's a movie about him. So he's become like the big science guy of the MCU. Let's see. Here's a really deep cut. When the dad drops by the convenience store where Bruno works, he picks up a Hostess fruit pie, which back in the day, classic Marvel comics used to incorporate Hostess fruit pies as an panel ad. Where like Spider-Man and the Hulk were eating Hostess fruit pies. It was just a way of like, the way that now we see like Doritos is right behind Bruno in that one scene. To where you have product placement within the comics. That was a way to sort of a call back to those cheesy ones that they used to do back in the comics. When Kamala texts Cameron, if you look the left of her mirror, another one of those QR codes. No. And if you click on that, it actually brings you the Magnificent Miss Marvel #1 from 2019, which tells a story where they're reading a bedtime story, which is bedtime stories about the Destined One, Kamala. And of course, this name of this episode is Destined. If you pay attention to the when they're all dancing at the wedding, there's the one nephew of that's wearing the Hulk outfit that the mom made for Kamala in the previous episode. I didn't see that. That's awesome. Yeah. And of course, we get the one moment where she's fighting and her hand begins out to fight them, and then she sweeps everybody away. Again, that ties in totally to how her sort of like look more like her powers were in the comics. So anyway, that's a few of the Easter eggs that I came across. Unless you guys have anything else to add. Except
for being solid light, it's
instead of a solid light, but I can't.
It's her body goes blue.
Yeah, which I think a lot of people think that has to do with when she first gained her power. There was all these lights and stuff, and so that maybe that tied into how that became more light. But again, her powers are going to change as it goes along in the series.
Well, I actually like what they're doing as far as adapting it for live action. I like this
I think it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because a lot of people, when Miss Marvel came out, I feel like a lot of people were just like, well, this is discount Mr. Fantastic. And this is a way to kind of, if Fantastic Four is coming into the MCU soon, this is a way to distinguish Miss Marvel from Mr. Fantastic.
True.
Do that. Yeah.
Hopefully she'll turn out better than he did in the multiverse.
Oh my gosh. Ribbons!
Won't turn into string cheese.
Hmm.
Too soon?
Well, he might be able to string himself back together. I don't know. What?
Party favor.
Party favor.
Yeah.
Was Mr. Fantastic when the brother went to go crab before leaving the recital hall?
I will say, as much as I liked this episode, my biggest issue had to do with the villains when they're fighting, because they get knocked out so easily by those agents that come in. That just seemed like I don't know. They're supposed to be so powerful, and the only way they're able to fight anybody is to fight her because she has powers. But the people that don't have powers, they just shoot them with a gun they getting snuffed out too easily, and that kind of bothered me.
The only reason I let it go is because they make a point that they've been in hiding. So if once they come in there and zap them, they're going to feign.
Yeah.
I don't think they were actually beaten. I think they were just like, okay, we know what to do. We got to chill out. We'll get out. We'll get away later.
Well, I also took it as they kind of were surprised, and
well, they didn't realize, that Kamala was going to be able to do all that, right?
Probably. Although
she did good. She was.
Was the one guy weapon a belt?
Oh,
I mean,
belt whip.
I think somebody pointed out that it might be. There's actually some kind of weapon that you could use that can bend and stuff. But it just felt like I mean, maybe you can fill us in, but is there a group of people that had like these? The one guy had his weapon just like it's like Ant-Man or something. I don't understand where these weapons came from and were they supposed to symbolize certain things? I don't know.
If they pulled from the comics, I have not read it yet.
Okay. I don't know. I just thought the weird thing where he's like, I feel like I could have just pulled my belt out and
these feel, I don't know. This feels kind of like just MCU special of like, let's take like generic bad guys and make something that looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I think they overdid it. I think they should have everybody didn't have to come, right?
Although
I think it would have been better if it was just like 2 or 3 of them instead of 5 or 6 of them, however many there were.
The scene that worked really well for me with them was in the kitchen.
The Jurassic Park scene? Yeah.
Well, that and like the little fight scene right before that, where it was just a couple of them, like you said, and she uses her the kitchen to her advantage, like throws one guy into the stove and makes everyone else run into each other because of kitchen. And
didn't Najma, the mother, didn't she pick up a frying pan to battle with?
Yeah, she did. Well, she did that to sort of scare her into sort of showing her location. Yeah. Although we'll say there was the one part where like they turned out the lights and it got all kind of creepy, and I was like, "Ooh, this is turning into more horror movie."
The Jurassic Park scene.
Well, sort of, but they had I don't think in Jurassic Park they had the little weird kid at the end of the hall flashing light moment that felt more like horror movie, like The Ring type thing. But yeah, I don't know. It was kind of I think I love the moment where they go in there and the guy just punches the cook for no reason. The other girl's like, "Nope, I'm out of here."
Especially because when Kamala first goes in, she's like, "Everybody get out!"
And they just like, I'm not listening to her. But then they see that person punch, I'm like, okay, I'm going. I love that to where, because I think most of the time you see movies and you're all still working, like, what's going on here? Although supposedly, another Easter egg, supposedly there's a board where somebody had written, "It's been 63 days since the last incident." They may have to erase that after this.
One day. I guess Kamala and friends are going to go to Karachi next. Is that?
I guess so, but how
I
are
guess
they?
so.
Because that's
Is she gonna
Santa called
fly?
I don't know, but
Because she looked at that picture of Captain Marvel flying.
Yeah, maybe she will. But Grandma called her up. You gotta come.
I mean, it was good, kind of cool to see sort of the grandma character in that one scene early on.
Yes, I liked all the dialogue with all the family, you know, the wedding about it and everything. They're not overdoing it, and they're bringing in enough to make it real and authentic, and it's just they're really doing a great job. And I just want to comment a little bit that the show's not doing as well view wise as other MCU TV shows, and I do think it's sad. I think it's unfortunate because I think that more MCU fans should give this show a chance. It really is. It really is well done. It really is well done, and they should give it a shot.
It is, and I think I don't know. I think people they think they're like even us watching it, like are we too old for this, or are we maybe this show is made for a younger demographic, but I think anybody can take something from it because there's different family members and I think for me it's just interesting to have like a family that when you strip away a lot of the cultural stuff, they're just like anybody else, but also it's kind of cool to see that cultural stuff integrated, like the supposedly I think in the Pakistani culture or anything, when it comes to weddings, they steal the guy's shoes and stuff, and he has to pay people to get his shoes back. And I think that's something.
All the shoes.
Yeah, that's something I never knew about. So I mean, that's an interesting.
With the shoes earlier.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point. And then it's funny later on when he's like talking about he doesn't have any money in his bank account, and then like when they pull the fire alarm, he gets all that money. Because yeah, and I mean. And as somebody who's always trying to learn about different cultures and stuff, it's interesting to see that, but it just done normally, and this isn't just done for the sake of doing it. It's these are real. You feel like these are real people that you can relate to. It feels like people that you meet every day and you don't really know anything about them. And so I think it's just opening up the world to a lot of us that haven't really seen these type of things in normal storytelling. And it's just like anything else, and that's the cool thing about it. Regardless of any MC stuff, there's such a joy in this show. That wedding stuff is just a joy. I was smiling the whole time watching that. And it wasn't one of those things where, I mean, I don't know how many times you guys have seen things where you've seen weddings in movies like, oh, this is stupid. This is cheesy. No, this is, you could see that these people seem to be having so much fun. It's a happy moment, and I don't think any of that kind of joy has ever been in anything. I hate to say it, in MCU in this level.
No,
and I think
it's far different than the others. Yeah, definitely.
Well, and I think because it's not cookie cutter, it's not like it has some of the elements, I guess, when it comes to the learning about powers and stuff. But it because it's telling a story that's much more not methodical and what we normally see. I think that's why some people are turned off by it. It's like, oh, this is the same MCU taste I know I get in my coffee. And it's like, why does everything have to taste the same? Try something different for a change.
And I'm glad we're getting so much of the damage control, because that just, it has a special kind of place for me as a longtime Marvel fan when it's not a team, but when that element of was introduced into Marvel, and I loved how Naki, her friend, is it Naki, her Kamala's friend, stands up to them and really goes into it and earns her place among the group that runs the I want to call it the mosque. Yeah, it's not a church, it's a mosque. And I really love that moment. I love to, when she comes back to the room to talk to Kamala and the doubt that she has, but but the pride she also has along with it, and she's all nervous about it and stressed out. I don't know. It just makes these characters three-dimensional, right? All of them get these moments that I don't think the other series have given their characters. Maybe one or two, the main characters for sure, but this has given all the characters these moments, and from scene to scene to scene. The wedding scene gives, even the wife, right? The bride gets some just quick little visual cues to like when she's getting all made up and when she has to be asked to dance, and when her little brother comes out to dance,
Mhm.
yeah, it's just
In her little his Hulk outfit, like
yeah. So I don't know. I love that they're giving such attention to the characters, all the characters.
Well, even later on, Nakia, when she finds out that Kamala is the powered one, they don't have to say a lot in that scene, but we get it, And I think that, well, I do find it funny that she mentioned that she figured out law stuff by watching like SVU or something. So I did find that to be very funny. But I mean, but yeah, I think they do. I think a lot of times when you have so many different characters, your focus is only on one specific thing. Like it's only on the Peter Parkers of the world or whatever. And this one, you get so many different bits and pieces that doesn't necessarily have to be heavily focused, but we get it. We even get the little moment between the dad and the son,
Yeah, that was really
it's a very nice moment.
I really like that.
And I don't know. I just love, and I love that we understand each one of these characters. Like the father is the sort of the fun loving one, he's, and then the mom's a little bit more stern one who doesn't want, anything to happen. And you have, you have all these different characters that have their own worries, their own issues, their own strengths, their own weaknesses. And they all play their different parts in this whole game of this story. But at the same time, it's just a fun world to watch as it, and regardless of the situations you get in that you feel sad for her character, you care about these characters. I care about these characters more than I think I've cared for most of the MCU characters, because these feel like real characters,
Yep. Yeah, I think so. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scenes. Flatman, sir, you are up first.
So I love this series. I love what they've done. I really love their interpretation of Kamala Khan and all of her friends and family in the MCU. I think they're doing a phenomenal job with it. The only knock that I have on this episode is, like I said earlier, I feel like it is a step back in what made the first two interesting visually. But the family moments and the fun moments and even the fight scene and stuff like that, like it kind of makes up for it. And this series is still fantastic. So I'm going to give it a 4.25 instead of a 4.5.
Okay.
It's a slight step back for me, but only because it really bothered me that they went out of their way to make visually interesting ways of texting earlier, and this time they just did the damn text bubbles.
I did notice that. Yep.
And it's just like, I don't know, like that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It's like you were so creative. Why couldn't you just keep that going? But it
was only one scene. Come on.
Yeah. But I still love this show, the series. I love what it is, and I love the characters. My favorite scene, because I don't want to take the dance scene because I know y'all love it probably more than I do, is I love. So I'm going to kind of steal, and I'm going to take two moments. It is any moment that Bruno is invited to be a part of the Khan family.
Nice.
And I love the moment between Kamala's father and brother.
Yes.
Those it just feels feels like such a real family, So.
I do. That is a great moment. That is a great moment. Christopher G. Moore, sir, your final thoughts, your score, your favorite scene.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this series, and I think probably more so because it's something different. I think, yeah, it is definitely has those bits and pieces that we normally see in the MCU type stuff when it comes to somebody gaining powers and learning how to use those powers, which we've seen in all the different types of things. But I love how they just really made a lot of effort and took the time to cast people that really embody these characters, writing dialogue that really informs who these characters are, to where you can feel those connections. You can feel the family aspect of it. You can feel the friendships. You can feel the lived in nature of these people and how they react to each other. It feels natural. And I think that naturalness just is, you could take, this is one of those situations where you can take the superhero stuff out of it and it still would be a great, fun family show, and I think it continues to have that element of humor, that element of fun, regardless of the deeper aspects of it that sort of are on the ancillary when it comes to the historical stuff they talk about, or even the issues involving the family. But overall, this is the fun show. And I think my only issue had a little bit to do with the villains, how the villains are kind of taken out so quickly when they're fighting. So when they're like breaking, putting cracks in the floor and stuff, and all of a sudden, oh, you can arrest me now. I just felt too easy. I think that was the only thing that kind of like, I'm not sure about that. But I mean, the action stuff that took place before that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm you know what? I'd give it a 4.5. I mean, I'm still enjoying it. I think I would probably give it a higher score if I didn't have issues with how the bad guys were taken out so easily. But I think more than anything, it's just each thing we learn a little bit more about her character, and maybe where possibly her powers came from and how she's using those powers and getting better and more confident in them. And that's kind of fun to see that learning process with her. Also, just how the characters are growing and how the revelations are affecting them, how it's affecting your family and affecting your friends. And so I'm kind of interested to see where this goes from here. So as for favorite scene, I don't know. I guess the fight scene to Bon Jovi just, I mean, to me, it's like Chekhov's Bon Jovi. Like if you mention it,
Bon Jovi.
It's got to show up somewhere later, and it showed up in this, and I was happy. I mean, just I think when they had the Brown Jovi cover band, I was like, oh, we're gonna get it, aren't we?
They had to.
And then when we incorporated an action scene to it, which I don't think that's ever happened. Has there ever been a Bon Jovi action movie that's used Bon Jovi music? No. I don't know. I loved it. I think it worked really well, and made for a very fun scene. How just in the frenetic nature of trying to get away from these guys, she's using her powers all kinds of different ways, and sort of starts using it more so from what we see in the
iconic way. Yeah, the iconic way.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fun, and it just makes me want to see how further she grows, and especially if she ever gets that second bangle at some point, to be able to.
It's got to be a second bangle, right? It's
power.
Got to be a second bangle.
Yeah. The bangles.
Oh my gosh.
They should use the bangles.
The bangles.
She gets both of them.
No,
too soon.
Too soon. All right. Yes, for very similar reasons, I'm enjoying this quite a bit. I think it's unfortunate. I think because maybe the series doesn't feel urgent for a lot of people, or it doesn't feel tied to the MCU as much as the previous ones, which all had, outside of Moon Knight. But Moon Knight has like it's his own following. But I guess Ms. Marvel does too, but Moon Knight's been around longer. It's unfortunate. This series deserves to have a chance. I think it's the best written of the series so far. It still isn't my favorite. I will admit that. I still like WandaVision and Loki more than this, but I really like it. I mean, this is right up there with them for me. And I wasn't expecting that. And I'm very happy to be enjoying this. I'm giving it 4.5 as well. And it's really is, like you say, it's based on the characters. It's based on the structure of the show. It's based on our lead, who is absolutely adorable, like they say. And it, even I can look back at my childhood and relate to these characters. I can, as a father, I can relate to the father, and I really can. I mean, this show just really is a joy, like you said. I agree with that. So, my favorite scene. Okay, I got to go with the dance scene. Thank you for leaving it for me. I've been watching here recently. I watched RRR on Netflix and a couple others, and been really getting into it. And they always, Bollywood is known for its, inserting a dance scene and a musical number in the middle of it. No matter how serious it is, gotta have it. And it fits in here too, and it makes sense. And it's the right time to do it at the wedding, and it shows how. Not only is it fun and delightful and lighthearted, it's a breath before the action scene, but it also shows how our lead, Kamala, fits within all these characters, because basically all the cast of her relatives and friends are all there, and you get to see her interact with all of them all at once, all together, and it just really works. It really, really works. This is a good show. Come on, watch it. Watch it.
Yeah, give it a chance. I mean, it has a different way of telling the story that just is a little bit more adventurous, I guess, when it comes to just having that fun perspective and that youthful perspective.
Youthful is a good word for it too.
And I think a lot of us need that. I think a lot of us, as we get older, we get a little bit sort of like, we allow work and life and political stuff, get us down. But you can watch this, and for that one moment, that you can sort of like be sucked into this sort of world of imagination and passion, and trying to find who you are and make an impression in this world. And I think people could really learn from this, and just open your heart and open your mind to it, and don't really have any kind of expectations, and I think you'll find something from it.
Yeah, worst case scenario, it's just a feel good show.
Yeah,
you just feel good watching it.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, I mean, we watch a lot of these shows like, oh man, I feel emotionally drained, or I feel this or that.
Exhausted even sometimes, right?
Yeah, this one you just feel like you feel something good. You're like, oh man, that was a nice time, and I think that's what they're really tapping into more so. Because I mean, we watched the recent Moon Knight, and it's like there's parts that are like, oh gosh, this is emotionally draining. This is powerful.
So dark, right?
Dark, and then this has a lightness to it that is something we're not used to, and we should be used to. We should be happy to see very happy go lucky fun stories, of these fun characters that are making gin and tonic jokes.
Yep. All right, well there you go. That's our review of episode 3. There's 3 more episodes to go, so we'll be covering those. If you enjoyed this, we also did Obi-Wan Kenobi, the 6th episodes that just ended as well, and we'll be doing Thor: Love and Thunder in the coming weeks, along with Andor when it comes out late summer, early fall, and other shows and movies that follow. Oh my gosh, Christopher Slatman, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Very much fun. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
It was a feel-good podcast,
and I've heard that the new Thor movie is very vibrant and fun and flashy. So maybe that'll be in the same type of vein as this. So except for the God killing
part.
I guess that'll be a kind of a downer.
all the death and mayhem, except for that. Yeah. All right, guys. With that, let's say good night.
On that note,
good night.
Good night.